Viva la Revolution! Or actually talking about Robot Revolution, which is a 2015 micro-budget B-movie, horror, sci-fi movie. Now, this was originally called Dead Raid, which kind of may give you a bit of a clue about what this film may entail. Now, I'll give you a brief plot synopsis here, and you'll think it sounds pretty damn good when I give you this. So, basically, it focuses on two police people. One of them is this kind of female officer with a kind of eye patch and a dodgy wig, and the other is this kind of android who looks like he's kind of decked out in Iron Man-like sort of SWAT armour. And their kind of mission is to go into this kind of high-rise building to try and track down clues of this potential terrorist who may be having some kind of weapons deal. And of course, he is. And basically, this kind of particular weapon, which is being produced by a resident in this high-rise, basically is a kind of nanotechnology, and it sends out all these kind of little nanobots that basically attack pretty much anything. And generally speaking, it attacks the majority of the kind of the human inhabitants of this kind of building, turning them into zombie-like creatures. Although we're told multiple times throughout the film they're not zombies; they're meat puppets or something. Okay, we get it. And then there's also obviously the threat of these kind of terrorists themselves, and also there's this kind of large robot which is kind of patrolling the corridors, which was originally designed as a cleaning robot, but it kind of looks more like a kind of robot jaguar basically. So the plot synopsis there sounds pretty ambitious, doesn't it? And this is a really low budget film, so I have to have a little tip of the hat to the filmmakers for trying such a kind of an ambitious project with such a meagre budget, and obviously it does show in certain areas. So let's go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess. So the good here, like I said, I think this is a pretty interesting premise. I think they set up quite a lot of things here. Basically, there's a pretty decent job, good job of world building. We see a little bit of the sort of technology involved in this kind of futuristic society, and the attitude to the police is probably very different. I mean, they don't really care about civilian casualties. I mean, in a lot of these kind of futuristic films, you'll find it's the robot has the no killing of the kind of civilians and stuff. But here, the actual human officer has to tell the robot, right, try to keep civilian casualties to a minimum, and he kind of really has to sort of hold himself back a few times. I think the actual design of the kind of the android character is pretty good. He looks pretty badass, I have to say. I mean, he's probably it looks kind of just like a guy in armor basically, but nevertheless it still looks kind of cool, almost like kind of Iron Man like in the way. And the effects are a bit of a mixed bag, but I did like the kind of the CGI of this kind of robot, this large kind of almost cat-like robot which is kind of patrolling the halls. It looks quite good for the budget, because some other areas it kind of looks a bit crap, but the actual CGI of the big robot I thought was pretty good. For the bad, okay, so this is the big one here is going to be the budget of this film, because everything else about this film is just really, really, really low budget. So the way it's kind of shot, the acting, the costumes, the kind of the sets, the amount of extras you've got here is minimal. All very kind of low budget. A technical side of things, this was a bit of a head scratcher to me, because the way this film was shot has some real issues, I feel. So a couple of things. This is almost found footage in a lot of ways, because a lot of the times you'll see like a kind of heads-up display throughout the kind of the robot sides, and things like he'll be standing in a stationary position, but you'll see various kind of angles about how he's seeing from different kind of vantage points. Like, how the hell is he seeing? And all these different sort of vantage points if he's literally just stood there. And then the camera has this really bad habit of going really close up as well, and it's just too much. Back away a little bit, just back up. And I swear to God, if you counted the amount of time that the movie has with a static screen where the kind of robot's moving around, and sometimes its kind of vision goes like static and stuff. If you were to add that up, it's got to equate to about 10 minutes. I shit you not. There is so much time where the screen is just static on this, peppered throughout the film. If you added it all up, I swear to God, it would be about 10 minutes of footage. So there are some technical issues. Some of the kind of the audio isn't very good as well. When the kind of the robot talks, it's very difficult to understand what he's saying. He's obviously talking in a kind of robotic voice, but it's hard to kind of make out what he's actually saying. So it basically has this kind of this whole kind of low budget feel to it, which is kind of you know, if you're going to go into this film kind of expecting this kind of grindhouse kind of feel to it, that's definitely what you're going to get. This kind of reminds me of those really old sort of B movies that you used to kind of pick up in the 90s and stuff like that. But this is way low budget. The other thing I would say is that when we get to about the halfway mark, they spend a hell of a lot of time in this one particular apartment trying to hide away from these kind of zombie sort of creatures, and it really is too much, too long. It's spent too long in there, and it kind of slows the film down. Not that the film is a particularly fast-paced film to begin with; it isn't. But there's so many story elements. It's a little bit more interesting. But when we get to that point, they spend far too long kind of trapped in this particular kind of apartment, and that should have kind of been literally half that time. But there's not much to look at in some aspects, like the zombies themselves, for example, are literally just people with kind of fake blood coming out of their mouths. That's it. So don't be expecting any type of zombie makeup. But like I said, technically speaking, we're told throughout the film, they're not zombies, they're meat puppets being controlled by nanobots and stuff. So I guess you can kind of give them that one, I suppose. But this is maybe not an effective horror film or a sci-fi film, but it's certainly an ambitious one with lots of ideas, and I think based on the budget they've probably done a fairly good job in the limited resources that they have. So if you do like low budget movies and you can almost forgive some of the sort of shortcomings here, even though this is, a lot of the dialogue is very trite and cliche, pretty much what you're going to expect from this kind of thing. I still have to give it some props for trying this anyway, and trying to kind of be really this ambitious with such a low budget. And there are some good points in it as well. So the aesthetics, some of it, I quite like some of the aesthetics in this movie. So I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. It's obviously, it's not going to be for the mass audience, as I would feel. If you are a B-movie fan, you'd probably get a kick out of it, I would say. But if you just wanted to if you like stuff like Almost Human and Judge Dredd, and you're looking for that kind of slick look, you ain't going to find it here. So 4 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.